Socrates couldn't have thought of this. Even Plato couldn't have thought of this. It needed a woman. It needed you. Now, I am your voice. I mansplain things that I see you doing, ways that I see you operating, how you look at situations, how in your eyes everybody's right, everybody's got something. And then it takes me a long time in my mansplaining to figure out what are the words that I would be able to share that with other people. But as soon as I use the words, they reduce it down and they kind of miss the essence of it. So your book is great. It's the best thing I've ever read. But it's not going to be enough. Mm-hmm. If business leaders want to learn it, they got to come here and take a walk with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They've got to get in nature and enjoy each other's company until all that corporate head dissipates and they begin to cooperate to help each other on a hike, on a sea adventure, things like that. Without that direct experience, there's no way they can read about curiosity and become curious. Things are changing very fast.
Yes, they are.
I remember in 2007, several things happened.
Yes, I remember that too.
The banks crashed in the US, and all companies are banks, they all went on welfare.
That's right.
And the government has put up about now $40 trillion to keep them afloat. So the banks crashed. The iPhone appeared. Mm-hmm. And this was a transition period between the information age, which literally crashed in 2007, and the birth of an innovation age. Because the iPhone, the smartphone, put billions of people in touch with billions of other people so they could collaborate. Now, all the benefits of that are not yet clear, but it's going to be enormous, all that collective intelligence. Now, we're on the edge of another change, another era, where innovation is actually viewed as a nuisance by companies. It might interrupt their cash flow. If you come up with something really, really new and really, really exciting, it could disrupt the iPhone, for example. It could disrupt any of the innovations. It could disrupt AI. And so what's occurring is another shift, another collapse, which you read about all over the internet, and the birth of a new intelligence age. So we go from, let's start with the industrial age, where machines came in, changed everything. You could ride a train instead of walking across the US. Then came this information age where the machines got smart. It was much shorter, and now you got knowledge workers, and they were so clever that they invented programs that could program better than them, and their time was very short. Now, this was followed by, in 2007, the collapse of the information age, where you can't really know what banks are doing. Information is obsolete, essentially. And innovation was the new thing. And now we got new medical devices, new ways of communication. Remember when you moved here and you wanted to start your business? That's the third thing that happened in 2007. You started your business. So the whole world is collapsing. The banks are collapsing. The iPhone is born. And you come to Ibiza to start a business. The innovation age came. You got your cell phone. Now you run your business from your cell phone. You walk up and down the sea cliffs. You walk along the beach. You sit in restaurants. Every time I look, you're running your business from a cell phone. And remember when there was no Skype? And there was no Teams, and there was no face-to-face. Everything had to be done with the voice. So the innovation age brought us Skype. It did away with the telecom companies. It put everybody in a face-to-face conversation. Well, now that era is over. Teams is not getting better. AI is not getting better. It's getting more complicated. Software is not getting better. As this age collapses as quickly as the last one, what we do, we find ourselves now in an intelligence age. It's not yet here. It's going to arrive any moment now. It's time. Here. It's not happening now, but it's now. It's right around the corner. And what the implications of the intelligence age is, instead of using innovations to build better drones and bombs and weapons, in the intelligence age, you get all the information that you need to not start the war in the first place, to not crash an economy with tariffs in the first place, where people and machines put their intelligence together, they prognosticate, they look into the future. In the process, they see the more we innovate, the more we use new things to continue old patterns, the quicker we're going to destroy our society and our civilization. And so this is new. And I just read a great book on this subject, The Curiosity, oh, it was by you. It's your book. And I looked at the back cover, and it looks like something like this. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So you've got the industrial age, the information age, which was very quick, the innovation age, and suddenly an intelligence age. So what's the difference?
One is more intelligent.
Exactly. Nobody, it's like the man with no body and no nose. Nobody knows. It's so new that it's impossible to make predictions right now, except that every decision will be made in light of natural consequences. If you start a war that should be over in 3 days, it's going to go 3 years, and then it's going to go 30 years. Okay, there are natural consequences for all the decisions that we make. So I'm going to roll back a little bit in history. Who was the first person? Who were the first people to fly? Who was first to fly with airplanes? Who invented airplanes?
What everybody talks about are the Wright brothers.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Do you know that all through the 1800s, guys were flying, and
Yes,
they
I
had
know.
electric engines on their planes, and they had internal combustion. The only reason they don't refer to them as airplanes is because they weren't happening in America. So when the Wright brothers made their little contraption and flew for 59 seconds, first thing they did is rush to the patent office and patented all flight. Nobody else can fly unless they pay the Wright brothers 20%. Yeah, that's going to work. What they invented was a flying machine, very unreliable. The military sent a guy to check it out. He took a ride with Orville Wright. They crashed, and the military guy died in the crash. Wasn't very reliable, okay? Wasn't very intelligent. And then they spent the next years in court because this guy named Glenn Curtis kept making things that flew. Now, since there was a patent in the U.S., very American, right? We invented it. We have a patent number on it. Nobody else can use it. He invented things like sea skimmers. In other words, airplanes that fly along the sea. Bombers, airplanes that drop bombs. And every time he did that, the Wright brothers had to start their lawsuit over again. And so he was able to keep on going. Well, then the war came, and Germany was not subject to American patent laws, so they built 50,000 warplanes really fast. And then the U.S. government came in and said, okay, no more of that, no more patent. Whoever can get us airplanes the first is with the mostest. Whoever can get them to us, they get a ticket. But what is a little frustrating to Europeans, also to South Americans, before the Wright brothers flew, this guy named Alberto Santos Dumont. Did I get that right?
That sounds about right.
He had already built a flying machine with an engine, with navigation, but he had a cigar-shaped helium thing to hold it up a little bit, and he'd already flown for hours. He'd flown all the way across Paris, circled the Eiffel Tower, come back again. But since it was an American, it didn't count. And we still have that kind of habit going on in the world today, you know. In the intelligence age, America and Germany are worried about China taking over the chip business, artificial intelligence. Okay, their technology is moving forward. So Sam Altman spends $600 billion to build ChatGPT. A few weeks later, the Chinese come out with a $6 million version called DeepSeek, and you can't control them, you know, with patent laws. And it's not very intelligent to want to control them. The intelligent thing would be, why don't we work together and everybody advance chips, AI, all the new technologies. So this is about to happen. It's a great age of collective intelligence, shared intelligence, curious intelligence, and that's what your book is about. So normally when you think of intelligence, you think of knowledge stacked on top of knowledge, on top of knowledge, on top of knowledge, on top of more knowledge, and you keep adding on, adding on. Your book says, wait, what about the space, the curiosity in which that knowledge, in which you can search for that knowledge, okay? So this is a new thing. And then what you've come up with is 11 dimensions, parallel with the mathematics of string theory, 11 dimensions of intelligence or curiosity. Interesting times.
Very interesting.
Very interesting times. The thing that curiosity brings to intelligence is a sense of fun. Okay? Intelligence is you're doing something that is new, but it also has a secondary purpose in that it's highly useful. You're not using it to bomb people or conquer other nations. You're using it because it produces work. It gets something done. It's beneficial to everybody. Okay? So here we are in the any moment now, the intelligence age is going to sweep over the world. But you're going to have to release that book. The danger is, of course, many people will not understand it. They will try to turn it into knowledge and then add it to what they already have. And in fact, what it does is subtract complications. Curiosity is enormously simple and clear and functional. So it's not a revolution, it's not an evolution, but it is a big paradigm shift. It's a major shift in where humanity is going. Right now, if you go on the internet, every nation is fighting, every politician is fighting, everybody's fighting against everybody else. Nobody wants anybody else to get ahead. Intelligence says, hey, what would happen if we all helped each other get ahead? If we put our collective curiosity, our collective intelligence together, what would become possible, and how quick would intelligence evolve? Human intelligence will evolve more in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, than in the last 10,000, or even the last 10 million. But it does depend on, let's say, people becoming aware of what are the new dimensions of curiosity. Can you explain those?
No. Not a chance.
I know, and isn't it funny? That's what people say. Can you explain that? You know, how many CEOs have we talked to? And I don't get it. Can you explain it to me? Well, do you have children? Yeah. Are they curious? Oh my God, they're so curious. That's the best I can do. You know. Now imagine that kind of curiosity rampant in a major industry, the automotive industry, or aeronautics, or banking, or any of those. Imagine that level, those dimensions of curiosity sweeping through major organizations. And, you know, three things happen. Invention, you know, I'm a Latin guy, right, and Greek, and invention, veni, veni, vende. I came, I saw, I conquered, okay? Invention is to conquer something. So what there is a, you know, an airplane is going to happen. Guys have been flying all through the 1800s, but there's this wall of information. And suddenly there's a vent in the wall and airplanes slip through it. And invention means something new slips through and you get something that everybody knew was coming. As Peter Drucker said, there just ought to be a way to fly. And then sure enough, there's a way to fly. There's a vent. So the invention brings us into a whole new world. Now before that, people rode horses and buggies, they drove cars, they were on the ground, but in general, the population was not thinking of that we also can live in the sky. We can fly, we can create planes, they can fly all across the world. Nobody was really thinking, oh, that's our domain. It's like the fish belong down there, we belong here on the land, and the sky, well, that's for the birds. Okay? But then as soon as the Wright brothers flew, they did a very smart thing. They filmed it on Thomas Edison's newfangled video camera.
Yes, so and that was the real innovation.
That was the real innovation, yeah.
Flying was already achieved beforehand.
Right, right. So now it went from being an invention into being an innovation. So an invention creates a new novelty, something interesting, fascinating. Innovation creates an industry. So because they filmed it, and then this guy, Glenn Curtis, filmed his flights, And now the whole world became aware, wow, we're not flatlanders. We don't just live on a flat surface anymore. The whole sky belongs to us. 50 years later, I took my first flight. I don't remember much of it. But we flew all the way from New York City to California in one flight. I was 1 year old. And by now, what innovation does to invention, it turns it into a major industry. And now the aeronautics industry is huge. It's a multi-billion and will become a multi-trillion-dollar business because of innovation. Now what intelligence will do is it will, let's say, take away the notion that we should fit better missiles under the wings of those planes. It will take away the notion that if you put cheaper software on the plane, you get more money to your shareholders. So there are models for planes right now that if you're flying in a plane and it has the engines fall off, there are planes that will literally detach the passenger cabin and has a parachute, and it'll parachute the people down safely. Now, why don't they build that? Because it would mean virtually no deaths from airline problems. Well, it's not good for the shareholders. So making profits for the shareholders is interesting, but it's not intelligent. So what about using airplanes to go over other countries and bomb their populations? Interesting, inventive, innovative, not intelligent. And so what you're providing is a way to take all that brain power, instead of using it to create conflict and to create carnage, how do we use that to make life really better, to make flying really safer? That's the era that we're on the edge of. Now, a few companies have taken on your work. But as soon as they did it, millions of dollars in expenses, they were bleeding out, and legal expenses, and it all disappeared. And their problem was solved. And then the other thing that happened was people who weren't getting along because they lived in different silos, different like engineers and scientists and managers and marketers, those people began to communicate, and those companies made a few $1 billion extra, actually a lot of $1 billion extra, through collaboration. But that barely touches the potential of intelligence. What happens when those people begin to think not in terms of competition, but in terms of absolute collaboration? Now, this is where your game theory comes in. If you want to entertain people, make a game for them. Give them a way to play together. People become exceptionally intelligent when they play together. Everybody who's playing is trying to make the game fun for everybody else, and interesting for everybody else, and safer for everybody else. Now, the problem with game theory as it's played today in companies and in sports is that the idea of winning is to make everybody else lose. When Jerry Jones took over the Cowboys, he wanted to build a great team in Texas and make all the other teams lose, and he did it. But then another team came along and made his team lose. And so every year the Super Bowl is won by the team that can make all the other teams lose. Same with the World Cup, right?
Yeah, the same in all sports, really.
Yeah. Pele came to Europe with a new kind of football, bouncing the ball off the bodies, flipping upside down and kicking the ball in, having fun. He did want to win. He did want to make everybody else lose, but he wanted to have fun while he was doing it. And it just made everybody mean. In an intelligence age, you're asking, how can we make this that everybody has a benefit, everybody wins from this? You know, the game isn't to make other people lose, but how fast can the U.S. increase Chinese innovation, industry, and intelligence? How fast can the Chinese culture shift into Europe and people begin functioning like a family, like a culture which is like a family? How do people cooperate at unheard of levels before? And the answer is so simple, we call it the elusive obvious. Curiosity. But when you put that out back in 2003, you and Spielberger and me, everybody grabbed the word, and now it's all through businesses. Everybody's using it. It's their books about it. But they're all using it as something to crush the curiosity of others. They don't understand its universal nature. You never see a small one-year-old baby say, I've got to crush I got to make all the other kids in the nursery get lower grades than me. I've got to be the smartest kid, okay? Our human nature is just to share that curiosity effortlessly, without any strategy. This transcends strategies, transcends tactics, it transcends the art of war, and you don't win without fighting, you simply don't fight. It doesn't even come up. Now, Socrates couldn't have thought of this. Even Plato couldn't have thought of this. It needed a woman. It needed you. Now, I am your voice. I mansplain things that I see you doing, ways that I see you operating, how you look at situations, how in your eyes everybody's right, everybody's got something. And then it takes me a long time in my mansplaining to figure out what are the words that I would be able to share that with other people. But as soon as I use the words, they reduce it down and they kind of miss the essence of it. So your book is great. It's the best thing I've ever read. But it's not going to be enough. Mm-hmm. If business leaders want to learn it, they got to come here and take a walk with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They've got to get in nature and enjoy each other's company until all that corporate head dissipates and they begin to cooperate to help each other on a hike, on a sea adventure, things like that. Without that direct experience, there's no way they can read about curiosity and become curious.